Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Beyond Boardroom Business. I'm your host, Coach Stephanie, and I get the privilege to interview trailblazers, leaders, people who make a difference. And tonight is just another amazing person that once you get involved in his story and learn more about him, you can't help but love him. So let's go ahead and bring him to the stage. So without further ado, welcome Mr. Benjamin White. How are you this evening, sir?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Nice to meet
I
you.
I am feeling amazing.
Me
Thank you.
too. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, of course. Wow. So, I mean, when I read your story, because of course I'm helping you with your story, it's just
Hmm.
so amazing. I just could not wait to get you on this podcast to interview you. Your story is so powerful. So, without further ado, let's get started by you telling us who is Mr. Benjamin White.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. You know, Benjamin White is a person who had to learn the hard way. I had to go through a lot of things to get to where I'm at today.
Okay.
I grew up. I grew up not knowing what was right and what was wrong. I was getting things from everywhere, and I kind of had to venture out on my own and kind of get my own understanding of things and whatnot. But I left home when I was 12,
Wow.
and I've been in the streets. I done had my share of trouble, and eventually I found myself sitting behind a fence for 12 years.
Mm,
And in the midst of that episode of me sitting behind the fence, I had to I had to not only redefine myself, but I had to find myself all over again. Like everything that I thought was right, I had to reevaluate it from a
yeah.
different perspective. So eventually that led to me discovering my talent for writing. And I
Mm,
always had a talent for writing, but I never had the time to write. The only time I had time to write was when I was sitting down, not in trouble,
mm,
like sitting down, like, um, in some place that I didn't want to be in. And I just write.
mm.
And one day someone told me, hey, I needed to write a book. And at first I was like, no, 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 I'm not writing no book, no, no. And then they just was like, man, you need to write a book. Like you got it, like you get. And so one day I just gave it a shot, and I didn't know how much I held inside until I wrote this
Mm,
book. Like when I
yeah.
wrote this book, like it was like, so much emotions that was pent up inside just came out, and I just
Wow.
kept writing. And at the end of it, it was just like, wow, I had that much inside.
Wow.
I was like, I had that much on my mind, like, and I just kept writing, and eventually it's like, you know, this the first book. Eventually, as you know, it's more to come, but transformation for me because when I got the book two, it was like, you know, I went through life thinking this way and, pointing the finger at everybody. And
Mm,
then when I got like towards the middle of book two, it was like, I noticed I started pointing the finger at myself. Like I was just writing.
mm.
It's like something just take over you and you just writing. And then as you write, you go to looking at what you're writing and you're like, hold up.
That's
And I
right.
started, yeah, and I just started like, hold on, like life started making sense. Everything I went through started making sense. What I thought
Wow.
wasn't love was love. It just was a different form of it. And that's
Okay.
something that I really had to understand.
So what I noticed, what you just mentioned, is that you took care of yourself at 12 years old. You left home at 12, and you
Right.
also spent 12 years behind bars. That number 12 is pretty significant with you. That's pretty,
Yes, yes,
yes.
and it's crazy you pointed that out because in the midst of me doing 12, I came to the conclusion. I was like, I say, you was 12 years old when you first got in trouble. Now look, you doing 12 years. And I felt like it was symbolic to like, like just, something I had to pay attention to because I felt like, okay, God talking to me.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
And when I realized that, I was like, I started listening a lot more. You know, my mom always told me like, you can't hear God in the midst of chaos. He
Mm,
whispered. So
yeah.
like I sat down and I stopped talking so much and started listening.
Mm, right.
And it's a
That's,
beautiful thing, like when you know, isolate yourself and listen.
that's
Then I
so
understand
true.
it. So, you know, that 12, that 12 is it's a powerful number for me because I'm starting to get it, and then I kind of went as further, more deeper, because like I say, I had to learn life all over again. Like I had to open
Mm,
up that Bible all over again and really like key in there and see what we've been, what I was taught growing up, and then when you get inside of it, and you be like that 12, my name Benjamin, he was the 12th tribe of Israel. He was the
wow.
youngest son, you know. And
Wow.
when I got into it and I started listening, it just hit me. And one thing I had to learn about that Bible is
Uh-huh.
that it, everything we going through now is in that Bible. Like my mom
Mm,
asked me a question one day, and she was like, she said, "Ben, you know what Bible mean?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "The basic instruction before leaving Earth." And I key on that because, at one point I really believe. Then at another, I kind of like lost a lot. My faith got short. But
mm,
then when I had to see for myself, let me rephrase. Let me before I get to that part. When I was a kid, my dream was to write a book. I tried music, and I made it on the radio station. Me and my brother, what you'll learn, you'll get to know in the book. And my mom pulled the plug on that because we wasn't ready for that. She said we was changing.
mm,
But I thought that was my path. And but like I say, the dream was to write something, a book. And that idea came from I was reading the Bible. And then I saw my
oh,
name in the Bible. And then I got to Joshua. But what I'm getting at is I lost sight of that. And in the midst of that, of me, going through my trials and tribulation, I lost hope.
okay.
And then when the 12-year sentence came and I had to go through that whole process of finding myself again,
Yes.
I found hope again. And it wasn't until I wrote that book. That's why and when I wrote that book, I realized like, nah, like God ain't forget about me.
Of course not.
What he told me, like, yeah. But see, at the time I wanted to write that book,
Mm,
keyword, I wanted to write that book. It wasn't time.
okay.
I was only like 10, 11 years old at the time. Like, I ain't have no
Mm,
experience.
yeah.
I ain't had nothing to talk about. Like, I had to go through what I had to go through.
Yeah.
Like I say, you can't have a testimony without first being tested.
Mm,
And I had
so
to go
true.
through my test.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in the midst of going through my test, that's how the book was developed.
Right.
Cause I tell
Wow.
anybody like the book ain't about me. It's about me, but it's not about me. It's bigger than me. you know?
Yes. And what I noticed about your book or about you writing, period, for everyone in general, writing is very therapeutic, and it's really great that you had that time to write and get to know yourself and get to love yourself and start over, because life is about change. It's always about bettering ourselves. And at 12, you pretty much, from what I've read, were you were raising yourself, so you've
Yeah.
had a lot of, yeah, unfortunate situations, but look at you now. I'm really proud of you. You're writing books, becoming an author, and you're making a difference. So, what made you want to step up?
You get to a point in your life, and I think this for everybody. Like you get to a point in your life where when you just get tired, when you get tired of going through what you're going through, and you want something better.
Yes,
And but first you got to get tired. If you ain't tired, you ain't gonna stop. You just gonna keep going, you know.
that's
But you got
true.
to get tired. You got to get tired of the same stuff. You got to
Yeah,
get tired of like knowing that you're better than your circumstances, but yet you still give in to your circumstances. You know, like you
yeah,
just got to get to that point when you get tired. You know, and that's something that I had to witness firsthand. Like, I just got tired. Like I know I'm better than you
yeah.
know well, I knew I was better than who I was
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yes,
things that I was doing, you
yes,
know, and I got tired of going back and forth until, tension center after tension center. Then it was like the prison, that was just like last straw. It was just like, you know what? Like, no, I ain't finna be doing this. Like, I'm not
yeah,
finna be at this age. Like when you get in there and you see your elders and your brothers, your uncles,
yeah.
your granddad, like you just you see a head, if that makes sense. Like you see a head, like you see like if you don't stop, this where
Right,
you gonna be at. You see,
right.
you got people older than me, like still going, cause like I ain't have no uncles. Like, my grandma, she had all girls. I don't
Okay.
really I don't know no man.
Yeah.
And that's a saying in our family, like, we ain't got no man in our family.
Wow.
But as I pay attention to the family, I got a lot of cousins. You know, we got a lot of us who was called on to be men, but
Mm.
a lot of us ain't answer that call. And like my mama say, you can't run for God. When he called, he called. And I always
That's
heard he called. Like I always heard the call, and I used to just tell myself, like, no, I'm not ready. I'm just gonna go over
mhm,
here and I'm gonna hang out a little bit longer, but it's like, nah, it don't work like that. That's just like Jonah and the well. Like he told you to do something and you ain't want to do it. So you try to run from it. He had that well come swallow you up and take you to do exactly what he said, you
ooh-wee.
know? And I keep hitting back to these scenes in the Bible because it's like you gotta be conscious enough to be able to, view it in your own life. And meaning
Yes.
like we think we just be going through things and we be like, why me? Why me? Or why me? Like, if you look in the book, God asked the same question when he asked about the cup. When he asked, when Jesus asked God, take this cup, like, Moses asked the same thing. Jonah asked the same. It's always why me, why me? But you got to understand, you chose it. And I
Wow.
just feel like, if God can talk through a donkey, he can talk through me or you,
That's right. Exactly. That's right.
and you just
That's
you just never know when he's speaking because sometimes, like I say, he speaks in the woods, but sometimes you got to just sit back and just
that's
go in
true.
that space and just okay and listen. And I thank God, man. Like I have that, you know, that spirit, like where it's like I listen to my feelings, my emotions. Like when I feel a certain type of way, I question myself.
Mm,
You know,
very good.
I ask
Yeah.
myself, like why I feel like this. Just try to get the bigger picture of the message that's, you know, I'm trying that's need to be received. So
Yes.
yeah,
So,
so
so let me ask you this: do you feel that you've healed completely? Do you think that you need a therapist or anything? Possibly.
I'm gonna be so honest right now. Oh, man, I wouldn't say that
Okay.
I'm completely like the book was therapeutic for me. It allowed me to
Yes.
get out my feelings and look at the bigger picture. Yet I am still human, so I still feel things. So to
Yes.
say that I'm completely healed or be like, I can't say that. It'll be to say like I'm not human because it's
Right.
like, I know how to move on, but
Right.
yet in my own silence, I still grieve. I still
Mhm.
deal with things. I still question things. But it's like, I just learned how to, be a better version of me and just like,
Yeah.
like the other day or so, like I was just thinking to myself, like, man, this keep coming, this coming. But my positive side is like, man, the further along you get on this journey, you're gonna have a lot of that. You
That's
know,
right.
God,
That's
he trusts you with the smaller things before he give you the bigger things. So you got to
right.
know how to, maintain. So do I still grieve? Like it's not like it was then where I was just so in my feelings, like I ain't want to talk to nobody. I ain't want to be
Mm,
around nobody. Like, I'm
yeah.
just like, I ain't care. But now it's like
Yeah.
I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm way stronger than I used to be. So
That's
when that
powerful.
when that emotion come up, it's like I see you. I see your grief or I see you, anger or whatever like that, but it's like not today. Not today. Not
That's
today.
right. That's
I
right.
got to get through the day. So
That's
and that's what it's about. It's about speaking positively in your life, because as they
right.
say, life be life.
Oh
You
man,
know?
doesn't it? And so
Yeah.
let me ask you this. With you coming out with your books, which are coming soon, I
Hmm.
definitely can't wait for the launch. It's just going to be so inspirational for people, especially young men. And what is your message to young men that have gone through what you've gone through or going through, or what could you say to them that could help them when they are feeling lost?
The message is, see, the moral of everything is like in the beginning, when we kids,
Hmm.
we always think that our mamas is or our parents is like, being hard on us or, you know, don't want to see us do better or just, not being understanding of us as people or, their child. But
Right.
as you get older and you start going through your own experience, because like the wise say, your parents outlive you. So they
Mm,
have way more experience than you. Not saying that they're always correct,
okay.
but at the same time, raising kids don't come with no instruction manual or nothing like that. So you just go for what you know. But in the end, when you get older, you find yourself saying mama was right or daddy was right. Because
Mm,
you start going through the same things that they tried to, detour you or prevent you from going through, you
okay.
know? So, you know, at the end of the day, I say to anybody like that ever, just question or just got in their feelings to a point where they just got mad. Like at the end of the day, all you got is family. And I ain't saying all family perfect. It ain't,
Right. Right.
but at the end of the day, like, it start with you.
Mm,
It start with you. Like it start with you because I could have stayed mad and I could have, you
yeah.
know, been in my feelings and and stayed in my own way and
Yes.
not even got to this point, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
Everybody, like once again, like I want to say, God got a purpose for everybody. The hard
Yes.
work is figuring out what the purpose is.
Woo, that's it. Right
And a
there.
lot of
That's
people
it.
don't want to do the hard work, but that's just how it goes. So yeah,
That's
like
it.
yeah,
We
that's
have to.
that's the message, man. Like you gotta put in work. Like everybody got a job. You gotta put in work.
That's
They
it.
gonna
We're here.
life if life get harder, you just gotta grind hard.
That's true.
But
That's a good one.
it ain't materialistic.
Mm.
It's in here.
Okay. So
Materialistic is the reward.
are you noticing, or do you speak to young men? Do you try to help them along the way while you're out and about? Or what do you think about the state of the black men, the young black men right now, the YNs or whatever they're called?
No nobody want to listen. But at the
Ah,
end of the day, everybody like I just feel like everybody like when it comes to the YNs, like, they the music, the culture and everything, everybody like, they got their own like when I came out here, I just seen it's a different world and I'm still adjusting to it. So my
yeah.
thing is like I speak to whoever God put in my path.
Okay.
You
That's
know, like I learned you can't force you can't force it, you
yeah.
just can't because God be dealing with everybody in their own way. But if you pay
Right.
attention, he gonna send that one that he gonna send them in your path, and like they say, each one teach one. You know,
True. That is so true.
so when it comes to YNs, like I see them, and I got some ones younger than me that we talk, and we have a meeting of the mind. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that's good. I'm thankful that people like yourself take the time to help because people say each one teach one. I normally say each one reach 10 because it does take a village.
it
As
do.
with you raising yourself, if other mentors were there readily accessible to you, you might not have made the pitfalls that you had to come to due to lack of
Right,
knowledge, you know.
right,
But that's okay because then again, you went through your trials and tribulations and it made you the man that you are now and you
right.
are on the rise. And so with that said, the name of your book, which has been The Prodigal Son, what made you title the book that way?
Well, I'm. It's two reasons. First reason
Okay.
was I was trying to figure out what I was gonna name this book because, like I say, I just wrote it from the heart. I
Yeah.
didn't have no plot. I didn't have no. It just all came. Honestly, it just came as I wrote. So, and then I went to somebody one day. I'm like, because the book was gonna be called "The Ways of Love." But then I went to someone and they was like, I was like, man, I'm trying to come up with a name, but "The Ways of Love," it's not clicking. And they was like, why you just won't call the book Ben? That's who it's about. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna call it that. But the prodigal son came during the transformation, as far as the
Mm,
understanding.
wow.
Because when you read the story about the prodigal son, like I can relate to him because he left home, man. He just used his talents, I'm gonna say, for other things that, God just didn't have intended for him. And
Okay.
when he came back to his senses, he had to what he do? Go back home.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's my story. Because when I left home, I went out there and I did what I did, and I got out there in the world. And when I got tired, you know what I did? I went home and I apologized for everything I did. And that's where it
Mhm.
starts at. I tell people like, speaking like us men, sometimes everybody in the gym, but I'm gonna say men too, but like it's like, you know, messing up, messing up. But we never try to go back and fix it. Sometimes just take
Yeah.
off sorry. It be that simple, you know? So when I came out with the book, that's the prodigal son, like, man, that's who I am, like the prodigal son,
Mm,
because I had to come back. Once I got my understanding, I had to come back and make it right. And that's
mm.
part of being a man. That's part of growing up and admitting when
Yeah.
you're wrong.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. So you have some more books coming after the first book. Can you give us just a little teaser about what is going to come?
I got two more books and two journals. Still
Mm,
kind of tiptoeing around the journey because the journey take you on a deeper experience as far as my thought process and while I was gone. But I have book two, or being the prodigal son part two. I have that book coming. That's more like this book, it matures as you read. Like
Okay.
I'm starting off as a child,
Okay.
and then you got my preteen, my teenage years, and then
Yes.
you got the adult. And if you
Awesome.
pay attention to the book, you'll see how my mind was
Mm,
changing. How what I
yes.
thought at as a child, just like the saying, when I was a child, spoke as a child. Yeah, so what I thought as a child, it went to changing once I got in my teens. I wasn't looking at life the way I looked at it when I was a child.
Mhm.
Then
Right.
once I became an adult, it was like I ain't think that way that I thought when I was a teen.
Gotcha.
You know, we
Wow.
evolve as humans, so it's like as you go. That's why I said about if I had to give a message to a kid, like what you think now, it ain't gonna it's not gonna be the same later.
That's true.
You know,
That is so true.
because as you go through experience gonna teach you different things, and you're gonna collect different thoughts. So yeah, it's like sometimes you just gotta like just take heed to things, and take in what you take in and let go of what you let go because you're gonna always keep evolving. And you
That
gotta make
is
room for the new.
the new version, huh?
Yeah, you
Of
gotta make room for the new version. You got to. Like I go through
that
that
is
every day. Sometimes I be like, you know what? I'm like, man, I'm done with this. I ain't going through no, I'm done with that. Like, I ain't finna keep talking about that neither. So you gotta make if you believe, like I believe God got a hand in it all.
all the time. Yes. Yes. So let me ask you this. For the 12-year-olds that are out here without proper mentorship, what should we as a community do? How should we step in and support them? What's the best approach for someone 12 or younger that has gone through what you went through uh, against the community, with the community?
I say the best approach, you can't judge them. I'm
Okay.
starting to realize, just, my own, not me personally, but just a situation, that I won't speak on or whatever, but, far as like a family member, I'ma say, I'll give you that much. I'm starting to
Okay.
notice like people don't want to be judged, you know, like they don't mind seeking help, but it's the judgmental that run them away. So,
Okay.
you just got to be mindful of that, like, and know, like, okay, I've been through what I've been through. Couldn't nobody tell me nothing when I was going through what I was going through, you know. So how it's like, how can you expect for them to just, lock in to what you saying? So
Okay.
to sum it all up, you got to show them love, like, in all honesty, because it's something about that word love, like it conquers everything. Like, and when a
Yes.
person, when you penetrate that heart with that 12 or 13 year old, and like you keep, okay, he messed up, okay, so show him how to do right.
Yeah.
And if he mess up again, still love him because it's unconditional. But don't judge. You get what I'm saying? Like, let him know, yeah, you were wrong. Be a parent, father, sister, brother, be that. But at the same time, like, don't give up on that love. Like, you can't take that out of the picture, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really had to learn, I'm actually going through this process now.
Okay.
Like people don't want to be judged. It's sad, but it's just the way it is. Like, don't nobody want to be judged. They want to be accepted and understood. Like, hey, I made some mistakes too. I ain't want to hear it. So how can you expect them to hear it? You
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So you just
That's
got to
good.
be patient. You
Yes.
gotta be
That's a great
patient and just
point.
keep loving.
That's
For
great.
real.
Because while I'm driving down the street or getting off the expressway, I see young boys selling water.
Water. Yeah.
Yeah.
I be
Yeah.
saying, and I'm not, I just moved here, so
Okay.
in Georgia, so it's like, I be saying a lot of different things, like culture, like I be saying a lot of different things. It's a lot different from Daytona Beach. So, like,
Yeah.
I seen, I be seeing the guys on the road selling water or whatever, and sometimes, like I'm the type of person like just being honest. If it's on my heart,
Hmm.
it's on my mind. So it's like, okay, if I send what, okay, I'm just gonna support 'em, because they could be doing something different.
That's true. That is
And
so
I used to
true.
be, and I get it, because like I said, I used to be, I used to cut grass and take out trash. So I understand, I respect it. You got to respect the hustle. You got to
Yeah,
respect it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. So,
yeah, you
in
got to.
closing, do you have any words of uh, that you would like, anything you would like to say to the youth or whomever that is in need of guidance?
Any say that question again?
Do you have in your closing statement, do you, or
Yeah.
closing words, do you have any kind of lasting speech, affirmation, or anything that you would like to share to inspire those that are going through crisis and don't see their way out, don't see a future?
Yes, and I don't want to let everybody know that's tuned in to this to know, like, it get hard before it get better. And
Yeah.
sometimes you might feel like it'll never get better. But,
Mm,
you know, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
mm,
And I say that because, like, even when it look bad, you got to speak positive. That's how I
yeah.
go. I know we hear that all the time and we just don't believe, but that's the key. You just got to believe in it.
Yeah.
Nobody else around you got to believe in it. As long as you believe in it, that's all that
Yeah.
matters. You know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it ain't gonna be easy. It never is. If it was, everybody will be where they need to be at in life. But you just can't give up.
That's
And
true.
that's the key. And
That's
that's
it.
that's that's the key to it all. You just can't give up. And you got to put God in everything you do.
Man,
Everything.
so yes, yes, yes. I can attest to that. You are so right.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to your book. How can people find you if they would like to reach out to you?
If you want to reach out to me, because it's gonna be a journey. This is the beginning. But
That's
I
right.
could be found on Instagram at the prodigal son underscore was the_prodigal_son 386. On
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook, also the same, the prodigal son on Facebook, 386. So yeah, it's gonna be a journey, and it's one, like, if you stay tuned in, you're gonna see, like, I'm gonna go through my ups and downs, but I'm gonna show you how to get back on top. Like, I'm gonna show you how to fight back.
That's
I only
true.
been
Because you,
home 6 months.
wow.
Today
And
made 6 months.
wow. And you're coming out strong. How about that?
I'm coming strong, man.
You're
And
not
I
playing.
see it. Let's go. So yeah,
I love it.
let's go. Let's go.
Well, I definitely enjoyed this conversation with you, and I would love for you to come back in the future so we can see one when your book is dropping, the speaking engagements you have coming up, your tour, all of that. I would love to follow up with you. Is that
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's gonna be
All
a
right.
journey. I
All right.
appreciate that.
No problem. And thank you again for being here.
You too.
Right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Beyond Boardroom Business with your host, Coach Stephanie. And tonight's guest is Mr. Benjamin White. He is definitely on a movement and he is determined to make a difference. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And again, if you want to reach out to him on his social media, on Facebook as well as Instagram, it's the_prodigal_son 386. Check him out, write him, and believe me, he has a lot to say, especially if you know young men that are going through different challenges. He is definitely someone who's been through the trenches, has overcome it, and is just shining bright. Thank you all. As always, I appreciate you all checking in on Beyond Boardroom Business and look forward to sharing more episodes with you every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until the next time, stay prayerful, stay powerful, and stay present. Peace.